And thank you for joining us here at the Convention of States Michigan podcast. I'm Robin Riddell, and I am the State Communications Coordinator for our Great Lakes state. My co-host today is Sarah Santana, the State Director for Michigan. Sarah, would you introduce yourself, please?
I'm Sarah Santana. I'm the State Director of Michigan, and I am thrilled to be on here today. And I want to thank all of our listeners and watchers for taking the time out of their day to listen to us talk and to learn some things about how you can be involved and all of that.
All right. Well, I'm glad you could be here. We're alternating co-hosts as we need to. This podcast supports the grassroots activists here in Michigan, calling for the passage of a resolution. Currently, 19 other states have passed the resolution. We need 15 additional states to pass the same resolution. Then a convention of states will be held for the purpose of reducing government spending, reducing the size and scope of government, and implementing term limits. A moment ago, I used the word activist, which often holds a negative context. When we think of activists, a picture of noisy protesters and mob rule comes to mind. The dictionary defines activists as a vigorous advocate of a cause, especially a political cause.
Our guest today didn't become a volunteer with Convention of States because she was an activist, but her vigorous actions over the past year or so indicate that she has become a vigorous advocate of a cause. I would like you all to meet Michelle Haroon. Michelle is a member of our Convention of States Michigan communications team and lives in the Detroit area. Michelle, how did you find out about Convention of States and why did you choose to volunteer?
Hi, Sarah. Thanks for having me on. I was taking a class called Biblical Citizenship. It's a free class that's available to anybody, and it talks about how the founding fathers framed our founding documents. And during that class, I heard about Convention of States, and they talked briefly about what it is. And immediately when I heard about it, I knew that I had to sign the petition and also become a volunteer.
Could you share with everyone what the role or roles are that you do with our Convention of States Michigan team?
Sure. I'm active on the communications team. I really enjoy editing and making sure things are, written as well as they can be written. Also, I'm interested in social media, so I support that activity to share information about Convention of States with other people that don't know about it yet.
And you do a darn good job at it. And while you've done all that, you've also gotten involved in the political process in different ways. You were elected as a precinct delegate, as I recall. You did block walking for several candidates during the election process. You were an election worker in the primary and general election. What compelled you to become so deeply involved in the political process?
Well, I never thought that I would be that person, but I saw just things that concerned me that were happening, and I learned about how it's pretty easy for regular people like you and me to become involved, and how big of a difference that can make if it's multiplied by hundreds, thousands, millions of people becoming active. So yeah, that's why I did it.
What do you think about being called an activist?
I think it's a good thing. I do think I'm a word nerd. I do know that people sometimes think that we just go around and in an echo chamber and yell or protest, but I would tell people that are listening to this podcast, it's so different from that. It's more like making an effort and scheduling, hey, I'm going to go to this school board meeting, or I'm going to go to this county commissioner meeting, even though it's not convenient. I'm just going to show up and be a contributing member of society, not just sort of reacting to the things that happen.
Mm-hmm. You just mentioned that it's not convenient, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with. when it comes to getting involved. Do you think there are things that you have learned through your process about how to um, fit your activism and your life together into one picture?
Yes, I think I've learned that it's very important to, be active and schedule things for yourself, but then it's also still important, of course, to make sure it doesn't take over your life. And sometimes some of us can inadvertently let that happen. But I think just trying to have a balance, just like we do with, our jobs and our other responsibilities, it's just really important. And just trying to be intentional about scheduling, thinking about your time and the blocks of time that you can give. And, I've become really good friends with many other activists for Convention of States in Michigan. And yeah, a lot of us, we don't always show up to every single thing, or, someone has some family thing that they have to do. So, but it's just about, continuing to make a little bit of an effort, over time.
Many people making small efforts makes a big difference.
Yeah, definitely.
Sarah, would you like to talk about some of the volunteer roles that we have?
We have a lot of different volunteer roles in our state, from the communications team like Michelle and Robin to legislative liaisons that help us reach out to legislators, district captains that are our local team leads, and just reach out to the local activists and let them know about opportunities. We have people that are volunteer activists, just exactly that. And what that means is they can just come and be engaged in the things that we have going on when it's convenient for them. We know that you won't always have time when we're doing something. No one always has time. We all have lives, we all have families. And if we stop and we drop all of that, our country is going to go down the tube even faster than it's going down the tube right now. We have to value those things, and we want you to value those things. So if you don't have a lot of time, you only have time every once in a while, volunteer activist is a fantastic place to start. We also have roles like follow-up team, which is about an hour a week, and it's spread out bits and pieces here and there. The social media warrior, where you do things on the internet and you help us spread the word there, that's also very, very flexible. A lot of people in different life situations can do that. If you're homebound, or you're a caregiver, or you're a mom with little kids and you don't always have consistent time, we have a lot of opportunities to do stuff.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you pointed out about the time flexibility. When I think of our members, again, especially moms or people who are taking care of parents or someone else, they might be doing their work in the middle of the night because they're up and they want to do it, or at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning. They do it when it suits them.
Precisely. And I think when we think about volunteering, we think we have to have prime time hours. If I'm not available from 9 to 5, or if I don't have every evening to give, and I completely understand, as a mom with children, it's hard to have evenings disappear, but that doesn't mean that there aren't times that you can do your volunteering that work with what your responsibilities are. And we're trying very hard to make that an easy thing to find. If you give us a call or send us an email, we will work with you to find something that works with your situation.
Thank you for that. What about training? Who wants to talk about training?
I can talk about training. I do training. We have training for every position. If you're interested in volunteering and you go, but I don't feel like I know enough about convention estates to talk to someone else. Well, you are in fantastic company, because that's what virtually every volunteer who joined our team ever said. That's just the norm. None of us come into this feeling like we're the bomb, we know everything, and we have it to give to the world. No, we are normal people who are willing to sacrifice some time to try to save our country. And it's not because we have law degrees. That's not the case. There are some with law degrees, but there's also a lot of truckers, a lot of moms, a lot of people doing your typical their families that are also giving of themselves to try to save the country. So in that vein, we have training We will teach you about convention estates. We have videos you can watch. It takes about 3 hours to learn all the basics about convention estates. And they're videos that you honestly can just listen to. You don't even have to watch them. If you commute, you can turn it on, put it in the cup holder. Don't even have to look at it. You can listen to it. I can attest to it. I did it. You don't have to look at it. You can listen all the way through and you can get it done. And it really, if you're just doing it bits and pieces throughout the day, I did it a lot while doing laundry and cooking dinner. You can do it. We also have people that will be there for you if you decide to do a role that involves the computer. We will have people that will do things like Zoom calls with you. We'll share screens, make sure that you're comfortable doing all the things you need to do before we say, here, go do it. And you will always have someone that you can reach out to that will be your backup, your person that you can ask questions to, your person that's there to support you if you get sick. The whole point of our team is to be a support system for each other. We're not asking you to help save the country all by yourself. That's not going to work. This is about the many coming together to become something bigger, but it's one person at a time. So yeah, we absolutely have training to answer all the questions you have, and we have support so that you're not alone while you do it.
I would like to talk to Michelle a little bit about the role of social media warrior. We need more social media warriors. We are a state of 10 million people, so I don't think we could have too many social media warriors. Michelle, would you share your experience about what you do, where you get posts to share, what platforms you work on? Just a little bit about that role.
Sure, thank you. So the go-to one still, I think, is Facebook, because a lot of people really use that. They enjoy sharing pictures with their family and their friends using that. So Convention of States in Michigan has its own page, but there's also a National Convention of States page. So it's easy to get content from, for example, the national page, or just from different some of the different news articles that you see that are good examples of, a government that's just way out of control and just, completely out of touch with the people. And it's really easy. And I wanted to also address, that term social media warrior. It's not that we are, having fights online with people.
Thank you.
Actually, it's the opposite. We want to always be as tactful as possible. And sometimes people, are a little bit, condescending, but they might be a little on the rude side, but you just say, well, okay, well, we can agree to disagree and just move on from that person or that conversation. And I've learned so much from doing this, and I feel like it's always one of the great points to always come back to if you're a social media warrior, saying like, hey, buddy, what do you think is the solution to reining in our out of control government? And usually people don't have anything to say to that, because I think this is the solution.
I have to say, I think people tend to minimize this kind of a role of sharing stuff on social media. And it's like you're adding spam to the internet. But how many people, we have so many signers. I would bet that 90% of them hear about convention estates online. I heard about it online.
I did too.
I had to see it online over and over and over again before I bothered to take a look at it. So I would say, absolutely, don't minimize this. If all you have is time to get on the internet a few times and share stuff on social media, don't feel like this is an insignificant role. This is huge. We need your help doing this. We need people going out there and getting the word into the groups that they're in, because you have areas of influence and you have audiences that I don't have and that Michelle doesn't have. Each one of us has a unique sphere that needs to hear about this, and maybe someone in your sphere will then share it, and so on and so forth, the way these things work. But this is an incredibly important role, and continuing to have a presence on social media is going to be very important moving forward.
Absolutely. I want to reiterate, I have a friend that told me about Convention of States for a couple of years. She would share stuff on Facebook. I didn't pay any attention. I just sat in the background and complained about everything I saw on the news. And one day I clicked on something and I decided to go to a meeting and find out more. And I was so taken by the idea that we, the people, have a mechanism to use to change the Constitution that I had immediate hope. I signed the petition on the spot and said, I'll volunteer. I have skills. This is what I will do. So, Sarah, thank you for saying that. A social media warrior. Michelle can probably back me up. Sometimes this is just 5 to 10 minutes on your phone. You see something and you say, this is good to share. And you share it here and you share it there and move on with your day. So we have to stay vigilant about staying out there with the media. Before I close, I'll give you both a chance to share any last words. Michelle, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I'd say that even if you're on the fence, I'd say, just contact one of us, or well, I'm not sure that our information is out there yet, but to contact, sign the petition or check out the website and learn more about it, because you'll actually get more. It's actually a rewarding experience to be involved. It's not just, oh, you're giving some time here and there. You actually get a lot more in return because you meet a lot of great people and learn a lot and feel like, wow, I mean, what I do matters and this is making a difference.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, any last words?
Yeah, remember as you're going forward into your day that this is all about our founders being smart enough to give us a solution to the problem we're facing today. They didn't put Article 5 into the Constitution because they never thought we were going to need it. They put it in there because they very specifically thought that this was going to happen to our country, that any government was likely to end up in a position where power was taken by people who weren't supposed to have it, and then they weren't going to give it back. That was their experience. Tyrants don't give back power. So they put this in the Constitution so we would have the ability to talk to our representatives and go around Congress. Congress isn't going to fix our country. Neither political party is the answer to our problems.
Right.
The answer to our problems is we, the people, taking that power into our hands that we are supposed to have and that we do have according to the Constitution, getting active like Michelle has been doing and making a difference in our country. And that's why we believe that Convention of States is the answer to the systematic problem in our country. And you, as a citizen, are the one with the power to help this happen. Obviously, we don't expect you to do it alone. We want you to come alongside us and do it with us. But go throughout your day knowing that you have the key to helping us solve this problem.
I agree. Whenever I do an activity today, when I close out this podcast, I'm going to feel better knowing that I did one thing to help communicate our message and get it out there. That is my way of helping us save our country, if not in my lifetime, but for my children and my grandchildren. We cannot delay anymore. So today's the day. Michelle, you talked about web addresses. If you are watching or listening, I'm going to give you some web addresses to check out. First of all, to get involved, to begin hearing from us, sign the petition. You can do that at conventionofstates.com/event_petitions. Okay, go to the website, look for the petition, sign it. What that will do, it will generate a letter to your legislator. It will put you in our database so that we can let you know what's going on here in Michigan. To help us make 2023 a year of change, become a volunteer. If you're motivated by what you heard from Michelle or Sarah today, we have a spot for you. It doesn't matter if you have an hour a day or an hour a week, what your skill set is. We have a variety of roles. The webpage to find that is conventionofstates.com/MI volunteer. conventionofstates.com/MI volunteer. You'll see all the roles that we have. We have openings across the state. If you want to know what something is, read more about being a social media warrior or a legislative liaison, click on it. It will tell you what the job does and a description of the time commitment. We know you have questions and we want to answer them. Here's an email address to reach us directly. It's askmi@cosaction.com. This can't wait. Tell your friends about Convention of States. Share this podcast with them. Post it on Facebook or Rumble or Truth Social, wherever you are. The small actions of every Michigander results in huge momentum for freedom. Ladies, thank you for joining the podcast today. To all of you, thank you for listening and stay with the fight.